bottom, 6 to go.
Makes a mistake again. He missed the shift. He's going to spin to the inside turn. He's going to take the lead.
Eli Hinton just got used up there in the hairpin. He's going to pick up a win after a long winless streak and visit victory lane. And the whole field just needs to get himself slowed down, hop these curves, up and over. There's that cannon running a tad wide. Great restart here for the 2 car, but also for the 48. He crosses him over, down into turn 1, there nose to tail. Here comes the 20 alongside. The 13 car gets turned. He's going to spin in turn 2.
Five rounds remain in the 2019 Fuel HostVenom Cup Series, and tonight we take on the longest race of the season here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, a homecoming of sort for NASCAR. We're going to race 167 laps around this 1.5-mile racetrack, high banks, high speeds, and the new aerodynamic package has been throwing everything everyone knew about the package out, and this time we're going to be drafting for those 167 laps, and with relatively cool track temps and a sun that is relatively low in the sky, we expect the speeds to be up and the drivers' tempers to flare. So there's 2 drivers on the chopping block this evening. Only one will go home, and the 2 drivers are Tim Silliman and Don Runkle Jr. Which of the 2 can survive? Finian, Charlotte is not an easy racetrack. It can bite you very, very quickly, especially out of turn number 2.
Yeah, definitely. We've seen in the past drivers hitting the wall out of 2 and out of 4, but I think, again, with the amount of downforce these guys have, they don't really have to worry about that too much. Granted, once the tires start wearing out, though, they're going to have to be a little bit careful, especially because a lot of these guys like to run up against the wall.
All right, so we mentioned point standings. Let's take a quick look at how the field is stacking up as we scroll around to the front page. You're going to take a look, and you're going to see Scott Eckrich leading the points by a pretty significant margin. Of course, it's not formatted correctly. Again, I don't understand why it's not, but we're not worried about that. What we're going to worry about is Don Runkle Jr. and Tim Silliman. They're separated by about 8 points. Don Runkle Jr. with the advantage. Silliman 8 points back. So Silliman's got to beat Runkle by 8 spots or more to avoid being put on the chopping block, and Greg Evans isn't out of the clear either yet, or in the clear, I should say. He's also has to perform tonight to make sure that he doesn't get himself kicked out. So if he has a bad accident or something later in the night, he could be the one going home and will not be able to compete for the championship. But we have yet to see. As qualifying underway, let's take a look at the order right now. 9 cars have taken time, and Tim Silliman, Finian, one of those drivers on the chopping block, sitting 9th, and on his 2nd lap now. We'll see if he can improve.
Yeah, he pretty much is going to have to improve, otherwise he's going to be starting in the back. He's very far behind any of the other drivers. You can see in the times there, he's 6/10 behind the leaders.
Comes across the line for lap number 2. Where will Silliman stack up for the start of the race? Quicker that time, up to 2nd. So a good effort there by the 6, but there's still a lot of the field left to go. I see Scott Eckrich pulling off, and I think he's up to 8 or 9 victories this season. Actually, I should be able to check that. It's a pretty insane number, to say the least, and it looks like he has 8 wins recorded, Finian. So do you think Eckrich can go for 9 this week?
Oh, I definitely think he can. I think every single week that we're at a racetrack, I think he's definitely in the talk of winning that race. He's shown that he has so much speed in that car, and really, again, he's pretty much the favorite for the championship so far.
Greg Evans comes across the line for his lap, and he's going to log a 30.177. We'll see if he goes for 2nd. Looks like he will. Only P6 the first time through. And Greg Evans walks in here, Finian. This has not been the season he's been looking for. I think that's safe to say, but I think every week we're just amazed at how far the mighty have fallen in 2019.
Yeah, definitely has not been the defending season he would have liked for defending his title. He's still in the race for it, and as he comes across the line, we'll see where he qualifies, and he'll end up in 1st. Hey, got provisional pole so far.
All right, well, there's still some drivers left to take times, one of them being Scott Eckrich, and he comes across the line to 31.170 logged for the first lap, and we'll ride on board with the 70 for the 2nd lap, and you can see pretty much flat to the floor here for qualifying, but can he beat the 29.996 set by Greg Evans?
Definitely is in the ballpark of doing so.
Through 3 and 4, 17 seconds left. He and Gale Brooks, the only drivers left on the racetrack that have not made a 2nd lap. I think Johnson might be the other car. Across the line, where does he jump? A 29.989. It's going to be good enough for pole. The 70 goes to the top of the board. No surprises there.
Yep, and goes to it by only 0.07 of a second.
And you'll see that the top two, Eckrich and Evans. And I wanted to also bring your attention, Finian, to the lap count tonight. 167 laps. The longest race of the season. Going to bring in some strategy, fuel mileage potentially, so we have that to look forward to. But this race during the day tends to be a little bit less crazy than it is at night. We saw in the Fuel All-Star race last week how bunched up everybody stays. But I don't think we're going to see quite the same race here tonight.
Yeah, I don't think you're right, especially with track temp being higher with the sun out and beating down on the track. In fact, it's very hot out right now with track temp 114 degrees.
That's going to change how these cars handle, and we have about 21 cars taking the grid here tonight. Take a look at that track temp, the air temp 90 degrees late afternoon here, so it should fall throughout the night. But as we take a look at the race rundown here, Finian, 167 laps is a long race for one. But in terms of your patience level, if you're one of those 8 drivers still competing in the fuel finals, and you're not the one on the chopping block, do you take any risks tonight to move yourself up the points, or is tonight just a status quo, keep doing what you're doing and don't mess it up?
I think definitely keep the status quo, just keep doing what you're doing. You really, again, you don't want to really put yourself on a strategy where it can take you out of the fight, because again, it's all really about the bigger picture here.
Drone camera on the front straightaway, taking a look at the starting lineup as we get ready to go racing. Let's take a quick gander at the starting lineup for tonight, Finian, for this 167-lap race. We have 5 rounds remaining, including this one, so 4 after. I think you said they're Talladega, Martinsville, and then we go to Phoenix and Homestead to round out the end of the season. So pretty standard there, but here's a look at your starting lineup on the front row. It's going to be Scott Eckrich in the number 70 alongside Greg Evans, last year's champion, in the number 46. Not been a great season for the 46, but looking to improve the end of it here at Charlotte. Moving on to row number 2, Jeff Ward. He's won a couple races this season in that 89 Chevrolet Camaro, starting alongside Anthony DeBarro, who won a couple weeks ago and launched himself right back into the Fuel Finals picture. Tim Silliman on the chopping block tonight in the Fuel Finals in position number 8. Timothy Johnston was eliminated a few weeks ago at Rockingham, and he's starting in the outside of row number 3. Then it's Gale Brooks, Thomas Bressie in row number 4. Bressie sitting second in the point standings. He's been really consistent as of late, so he's improved his performances and looking like he might be the one to dethrone Scott Eckrich at the end of the year. Brennan Minto and Travis McQuistion, the rest of your top 10. We'll let the rest of those scroll along the bottom of your screen. Finian, predictions on tonight. Who are you going to look at? I'm going to tell you to take the 70 off the table. Anybody but the 70, or is it going to be Eckrich?
Honestly, I think that 89 right behind him and the third has been, ever since the last few rounds, he's been on an absolute tear. He's been up in the front of the field consistently, which has definitely been key for these playoffs so far, and I think he's got a lot of speed. He's found a lot of speed in that 89 car.
All right, on to the back straightaway, and it's going to be 168 times before we see this again, and then we'll crown the winner of this round of the Fuel Finals. About an hour and 23-minute race if it goes green from start to finish. That'll put the finishing time at 10:30, but that is without cautions. We know how tricky it can be to race without yellows with this new package. So coming out of 3 and 4, it's going to be the 70 of Scott Eckrich, the winner from the past couple weeks, and I think he's only not won once out of the last 7. Is that right? Or some crazy stat like that?
Yeah, something along those lines.
Out of turn 4, pace car rolls off. Scott Eckrich in control of the field. Greg Evans on his outside. Green flag flies. We're racing in NASCAR's hometown.
Yeah, Eckrich off to a flying start as per usual, and there you see Jeff Ward and Evans duking it out for second place.
The inside line, the place to be the first couple laps for sure. We got that shorter way around and not up to speed. Evans slots in the line in 4th. Ward takes second place away. Defensive maneuver by the 70 all the way down to the white line as we make our way to turn 3.
Yeah, there you see Ward and DeBarro with a great run on the outside. Ward's going to take the lead with ease into 3.
And DeBarro rockets up around to second place, and Greg Evans rolls an outside lane now. So I think Eckrich might have gone too defensive and actually slowed himself down, and that's pushed him back to 3rd here on lap number 1. There's Tim Silliman fighting for his life in the finals on the bottom. He goes for 3rd. Eckrich going backwards quickly. Not sure what's up with that car.
Yeah, I think just hasn't been able to get with the draft here as everyone else has. And there you see Thomas Bressie to the inside as they head off into turn 3.
A couple weeks ago, these two did battle on the Roval, and unfortunately for Bressie, Eckrich won that fight, and Bressie looking for round 2. There's Timothy Johnston sitting in 7th place right now, eliminated from the finals a couple weeks ago. A gorgeous paint scheme on board that car tonight. Mission 22 on the hood. Really enjoy the color scheme on that thing, but battle for second place. Look at Silliman. He is on a mission tonight, Finian.
Yeah, he's trying to go all the way up to the top of the field. And remember, he said he's on the chopping block. He's worried about where Don Runkle is. So he's just trying to make sure he keeps ahead, especially at halfway. Halfway points are awarded, and that's going to be key for these guys.
Gil Brooks and I think that's the 93 McQuistion fighting for 8th place right now. They're side by side. Thomas George sneaking into the picture, but back up to second place. Silliman looking to the outside. Almost got squeezed into the wall. Tried to stick the nose out there, and the 27 wasn't going to give it to him.
Yeah, these guys being cut through it here in that draft, and you can build up so many runs here. There you see Silliman now to the inside.
Close quarters racing there, but Silliman drops to the inside lane, and sorry, I blinked out. That scared the heck out of me. DeBarro drops to 3rd, Silliman up to 2nd, Bresci trying to chase them down from 4th. And battle for 12th going on. That's between Minto and Runkle. Runkle, another one of those drivers, and at this moment in time, the 00 would be the one that would be eliminated. So you see the drivers in yellow on the ticker. Those are the drivers participating in the Fuel Finals. And right now, as they run, the 00's out.
Yeah, he's fighting with Minto. Minto currently winning that battle, getting a nice run on the straightaway. And remember, the draft's very big here on the straightaways. You wouldn't normally think that at Charlotte, but again, with the amount of the big hole that these cars push through the air, it's going to be very important.
5 laps complete here at Charlotte, and Scott Eckridge has not done much in the name of moving forward. He's got Greg Evans still right behind him. So the front row has dropped to 5th and 6th, so uncharacteristic start by these guys, but I imagine we'll see them farther up the running order by the end of the race. Everyone's single filed out for now, fitting a small field size tonight, and looks like Tyler Hensley and Filip Radojcic did not take the green flag, which means that we only have 19 cars out here, which means we'll probably see a lot of green flag running.
Yeah, imagine so. You guys have spread out quite a bit. And remember, we were talking about at the top of the race. We were talking about this race not being as chaotic as it is during the night. And here you're seeing why. It's so hot. These guys just cannot get side by side with each other.
Tim Silliman trying to chase down Jeff Ward. And last time through, they were almost dead even. But they were the 3 quickest cars on the track if you exclude Thomas Bresci back in 4th place. Now it just becomes I think we're going to see a lot of green flag running. I think a lot of drivers will probably start conserving their stuff and not pushing so hard. You want to make these tires and that fuel tank last as long as possible.
And that's kind of what I'm curious if Scott Eckridge was doing, because he was side by side with Bresci, and he just backed out of it just to get himself in line here. So kind of curious if either A, he's not feeling the pace here tonight, or if he's actually trying to save his stuff for later on.
Oh, I think that was the Ada William scraping the fence out of turn number 2, and that's John Rodden to the inside of him now, and Cody Tabor following that number 15 car. New paint scheme on board that Chevrolet Camaro here this week, and they battle all the way back for 14th at the moment. Scott Eckridge, he has Greg Evans all over his rear bumper, and Timothy Johnson and Travis McQuistion riding in line behind. And McQuistion, one of these drivers that had a hot streak earlier in the season, but hasn't really been up in the running as of late, so looking to improve his performance, only running P8 at the moment.
Yeah, he's been kind of out of it for most of the later part of the season, as you said. Yeah, having a good, solid run in 8th, and it's trying to see if he can pass the 28 and other guys up ahead. But it looks like we're kind of settling in here for a long run.
I think at some point we got to switch over Discord servers. Now that we're both relocated, the connection is not that great between us, so we got to get that sorted out. But we'll probably will change that as we roll through 1 and 2. Scrape out of turn number 2. I think that was Evans that actually might have gotten in the fence just a little bit, but now Eckridge and him battle at it. And it looks like Evans is going to get around. Or excuse me, Evans will get around Eckridge. No changes up front. Back here, they're still battling Don Runkle Jr. and John Rodden. And again, Don Runkle Jr. is very much fighting for his place in the finals. We do have some action now around Thomas George. He's trying to chase down McQuistion and Johnson. They almost get side by side at a turn 2. And I think the 28's going to have to leave him space there, and he does.
Yeah, here comes McQuistion again. We've seen, honestly, being in behind another car is very helpful, getting that draft and being able to work around. And you see McQuistion slowly winning on that outside lane.
Evan Adams, I saw he was slow, and I'm not sure if he has just gotten in the wall or something, but it looks like he does have a little bit of right front damage. Let's go back and see what happened. No, it just pulls over and lets a couple drivers on by. So Adams running 19th right now, still on the lead lap. Battle for second, though. DeBarro trying to chase down Silliman, and he's there, and around the outside goes to 27. He'll probably get the spot away, and look who's lurking in the background. Thomas Bresci trying to chase these guys down.
Yeah, it's starting to kick off just a little bit there. Someone going to have to fall in behind DeBarro.
And now Scott Eckrich getting passed by McQuistion. Scott Eckrich definitely has something up his sleeve here, Finney. And he's strategizing somehow.
Yeah, here comes McQuistion rocketing around the outside. Looks like Johnson's going to try to follow in Sue as well as the 9 and the 71 in behind him.
Yeah, I just don't think Scott Eckrich falls back to 7th without having some sort of plan. So keep an eye on that 70 tonight as the 28 goes to the outside lane. And you can really roll that outside here if you get your car turned in just right. And the 28 moves up to try to do that. And he'll have to try again. Cody Tabor side by side with the 00 out of turn 4. They get it sorted out for 15th.
Yeah, one of the faster guys on the racetrack right now is that 46 to Greg Evans. He's catching up to Thomas Bresci. We might see him starting to move to the front.
Last time through, the 46 was the second quickest car on the racetrack, second only to Anthony DeBarro in the number 27. So McQuistion and Eckrich continue to fight for 6th place. And again, I really see this going a long way in terms of green flag runs tonight with only 19 cars on the racetrack. Winning behind Brandon Minto fighting back here for 12th. It looks like Tyler Hensley has joined the racetrack 13 laps down after starting from the pits.
Yeah, I remember him having problems at another track, and then just, I think actually it was last week for the All-Star race.
It was, yep.
He had some problems, wasn't able to race in it, so I think he might still be fighting those problems, and nice to see him back out on the track.
Leaders getting real close together. Here comes Anthony DeBarro for the lead down into turn number 1, and Jeff Ward is going to yield that position. No, he's going to roll around the outside lane and try to hold it, but DeBarro has certainly found some speed, and the 89 gets tight off of turn 2. And that means DeBarro is going to nose ahead. He's not quite clear yet, but I think he will be shortly. And there he goes.
Yeah, he clears him in there, going into the corner. So, see if he slides up. Ward still going to try to run that outside lane, but 27's going to clear him. Oh, and behind them.
Yeah, Silliman and Bresci. Bresci's charging up through the field, but so is Greg Evans in that 46. You mentioned it a little while ago that 46 of Evans was finding some pace, and he has. And he was working the inside of Silliman. And Bresci slips up out of turn 2. The 6 car almost gets into the wall as they battle side by side for 4th.
Yeah, looks like Bresci's going to charge it in there again, but you can see it's really hard to hold that inside lane.
And that's probably going to let Evans get around the outside of the 24, so maybe Bresci will slip back to 5th. He's going to have to fight hard on the bottom. I don't think it's impossible to pass down there. You just got to get a good run. We saw the 27 do it a little while ago, and now this battle for 3rd is now 3 cars strong.
Yeah, here comes Evans. He's going to have a good run. Almost hits the wall off of 2, pushing so hard.
And they're almost, they look like they're going to try 3 wide. The 46 looks up in between them, but the 6 still noses out ahead and holds on to the spot for now, but they're losing time to the front 2, DeBarro and Ward. And here comes the 46 to the inside lane now to make good on his time. And can he make the inside a successful lane here? And what does Bresci do? Does he just hang out back here?
I think he's got to just kind of hang out there, build up a run, and then make an attack.
46 got loose on the exit of turn 2. Bresci gives a huge shove to the back of the 46 off into turn 3. And Silliman got slowed up in the middle of the corner. It's going to expose him on corner exit to that number 46. And Evans looks down the inside. Not quite a big enough run. Here he goes again. And now Bresci dives to the inside of the 46.
Oh, a big dive it was. You see Stillman not as fast entering the corner as he Bresci slides
Oh, contact out of turn 2. Bresci slides and saves it.
Wow, great save from the 24.
Impressive save and an impressive slide, but it will lose him a spot or 2 or maybe 3 or 4. There's another group of cars chasing him down. It's the 93 and 70 coming up fast from behind.
Yeah, this entire group from now essentially 3rd place all the way back to 10th. They're all kind of in one little pack.
Bresci. Yeah, Eckrich is going for that spot, and I think he's had some pace. He's just waiting to show it as that battle for 3rd heats back up. Oh, Eckrich all out of shape out of turn 2. And slides right back up in front of the 28 of Johnston. Up ahead of them, Bresci looking up the middle. I don't think he's going to probably try to follow Silliman around, but Evans making that inside lane work right now. And a push to the back of the 6 from the 24 off into turn number 1. And now Bresci's going to try to go middle And cut down on exit. Greg Evans, is he clear the 6? Not quite. The 6 car bounces off the wall.
Whoa.
No, collects the 46 right in front of the championship leaders. They spin. Caution out. And Evans involved. And that is not what he needed, Finney. And remember, nobody is safe in the point standings.
Yeah, that's effectively going to ruin his race right there.
That all started with the 6 kind of bouncing off the wall on the back straightaway. And looks like he's getting his spot back in the field here. But a dramatic crash taking out some of the drivers up towards the front. Bresci involved. I think Bresci's car is repairable and not in too bad a shape.
Yeah, he's only got a few dents on the side of his car.
And let's take a look at how this started here. Yeah, so the 6 kind of just bounces off the wall once, twice, collects the 46, spins across the track. Bresci jammed. I think actually Bresci missed everything. Oh, no, he got hit by the 93 in the side. And the 8 of Woody Mahan got some damage there as well. Eckrich missed it. But they all collected about 3 or 4 of the best cars in this field. You see him just scrape the wall, bounce off, and just a mistake there by the 6. The Question got a piece of it.
Yeah, very uncharacteristic mistake, too, by the 6, I might add.
Absolutely. And what really, he might have hurt himself here, because if that car doesn't perform, remember, he's the one that's farthest down in the point standings tonight. So he's really the biggest in trouble out of any of these cars. And Don Runkle just smiled, because all he's been doing the last couple weeks, Vinny, is staying out of trouble, and he is still in the Fuel Finals against a lot of people. We're saying that he wouldn't make it this far. Against all odds, Runkle's still in this fight for the championship, while everyone else is wrecked.
Yeah, indeed. Has been able to avoid elimination last 2 weeks through different circumstances. He's been surviving. Again, that's key. That's really the key of the game. Just surviving until the reset at the end for the final round. So that's all he needs to do. And if he can just get a good finish here, and if Silman finishes poorly, he'll be having a big smile on his face, and he'll be going on to next week.
All right, we're going to jump to break real quick. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back to SimTV, folks. We're just trying to get the audio issues sorted out. I think Discord servers I don't think the U.S. East likes us being separated as far as we are, so we switched to U.S. Central. And I think Finian's not going to sound like a robot anymore, but we'll see how it's going. But so far, Finian, 25 laps in. Ward seems really strong. DeBarro seems strong. The 6 and 24 did seem strong, but they got caught up in an incident. And the 6 of Tim Silliman has a lot of damage.
Yeah, and that car, he's also back in trap. He's going to be all the way back in 15th. Meanwhile, Runkle is going to be restarting in 8th.
I think Runkle's done a great job so far in this playoffs. He's done nothing wrong and has just been staying out of trouble. Remember back at Rockingham, he was just getting way out of everyone's way, and it's paid off. He's still sitting pretty in the point standings, especially with the 6's problems tonight. So all he has to do is finish better than 8 spots behind Tim Silliman, and he's good no matter what happens. So coming back to the restart, we're going to double file him back up. The 27 is your leader. He'll choose the inside lane for the restart. No surprise there. I think the inside at this racetrack is the place to be because when you're getting, there's not a whole lot of power on these things. So when you're getting warmed up that first lap, the shortest way around is the quickest.
Yeah, indeed. And it looks like Timothy Johnson has retired in the 28.
Yeah, I think he got some significant damage there, retired that car. It's going to leave us 18 cars on the lead lap. A couple of them, Evans and Silliman, major damage on those cars, so they will not be competitive. The best they can hope is that they can at least finish the race. So coming out of turn 4, we'll try this again. Caution on lap number 23, and DeBarro leads them down. Pace cars off, and we'll go to the patented cable cam. We did not steal this from Fox or anything. Green flag flies back in the air here at Charlotte. 89 did not get a very good restart. Eckridge takes second place away, and Thomas George pushes the 89 to try to get him moving, but no such luck there. Bresci middle 3 wide underneath Evan Adams, and now settles into 11th. I'm really curious to see if that 24 will have pace. Up for the front, though.
Yep, and here comes Eckridge to the bottom side. We saw him lose the lead in turn 2. Here he is trying to take it back now.
Side by side for the lead. He slips up the racetrack. Does DeBarro have the pace up there? Side by side at a turn number 4. DeBarro's going to lead this lap by a hair. But I think the first couple laps after restart, you can make that inside line work.
Yeah, we'll see which lane is able to work. Or will DeBarro be able to get good enough runs? Here comes Eckridge trying to clear that 27. Can't get it done.
I think he might be able to get him down here in 3 and 4, but DeBarro pulls even with him heading down into 3, but he's got to stay along his door panel, and he does. Eckridge slips up the racetrack, walking up the hill out of turn 4, and DeBarro's going to hang on to lead this lap too.
Yeah, and actually almost able to clear the 70 as they head up into 1.
He does for a moment, but Eckridge drops back to the inside, going the shorter way around, and he's going to clear the 27 in one fell swoop. Eckridge back to the lead.
What a run through 1 and 2 there, able to clear. Will DeBarro counterattack?
I don't know. He's going to just push the 70 off into turn number 3. I think he'll stay put for now. Ooh, Eckridge slips up in 3 and 4. Oh, Eckridge got mighty close to the wall. That was almost a big issue there for the 70. The 27 tries to chase him back down. No such luck. Battle going on back here. The 15 to Cody Tabor's in the middle of it. There's the 25 of Brandon Minto up in 8th. There's Don Runkle right in front of this mess as they watch the 93 and 25 fight in the mirror. Ooh, I think Evan Adams got a big piece of the wall out of turn 2. For the lead, it looks like Eckridge, DeBarro, Ward, George, Casey, Shu your top 5. As we continue to watch this battle back here for what is eventually going to be 8th place.
Yeah, these guys still trying to sort themselves out there.
Yeah, and
good run for Cody Tabor so far.
Yeah, we see that Bresci. Oh, he gets really close. Oh, almost contacted with the 93 on the back straight, but the 80 or the 24 obviously hurting a bit from that damage. Does not have the pace he had prior to that caution, so he's not really probably happy in that race car right now. But Jeff Ward in 3rd, DeBarro in 2nd, but they're all losing ground to Eckridge last time by. Jeff Ward was quicker than the leader, but he's stuck behind DeBarro.
And DeBarro, speaking of which, he's just running right on that blue line on the inside.
Runkle Jr. gets tight out of turn 2. He scrapes the wall a little bit. That brings Minto right into the mix. This will be a fight for 7th. Looking from behind Minto, there's Cody Tabor. You mentioned his good run so far. Up the road, there's Gale Brooks and Casey Shu fighting for a spot.
And further up, DeBarro looking to the inside of Eckridge. He's caught all the way back up. He's been running a little bit faster these last few laps.
Good effort there, but not enough to complete the pass. Everyone's single filed out as we head down the back straight onto lap 33. There is a fight back here. That's Bresci diving underneath Cody Tabor. And looked like he was going to complete that pass, and he does. Back up to the front, though. DeBarro still putting pressure on the 70, and I'm I'm just worried that if he doesn't get back around Ekridge, he's just going to drive off later in the run. So the 27's got to put the pressure on now.
Yeah, I think key, though, for DeBarro is to force Ekridge into using up his tires more, but making sure that DeBarro saves his own stuff. So I think that's really going to be a key, especially if we get a good run in.
We know that Ekridge is already good at saving tires and things. Think back to the Roval 2 weeks ago. He did a phenomenal job. Oh, dogging each other for the lead. The 27 looked high, looked low, and then backed out. Didn't want to take out the leader.
Yeah, DeBarlo was looking to the outside lane, and Ekridge moved him up almost into the wall.
Quishin and Cody Tabor fighting on the back straightaway for what will be 10th place. Tabor drops to the inside. Ooh, he drove in really deep to try to beat that 93. Up for the lead, though. Here comes DeBarro to the inside of Ekridge. Can he make it work this time?
Yeah, we've seen him egging him on entry here, and you're going to see that 27 dive
got
all
him.
the way down.
He's got him, but he's going to slip up. They both slip up in turn 2. 27's going to be slow on exit. The 70's got a great run, looks back to the inside for the lead, and here comes Jeff Ward into the mix.
The Ward also giving Ekridge a little bit of a bump into the corner, and they see him clear him.
27's going to cross over the 70 out of turn 4. Does he have enough of a run to get back to the inside? He does. Here comes DeBarro back on the 70. Great battle for the lead here. We got 130 laps to go. We're racing like it's the last lap. Here comes the 89 now.
Yeah, DeBarro there leading that lap, and he's going to clear Ekridge on entry here. Will he wash up the track?
Doesn't wash up as bad as he did last lap, but Ekridge still has a really good run on the back straight. He's going to take his run back to the inside. And completes the pass. He's going to slide back up in front of the 27. Here comes DeBarro back again.
Yeah, I feel like these guys are going to probably do this for quite a few laps.
And are they wearing out their stuff this whole time, Finian? I mean,
oh, yeah.
I think Ward's just licking his chops back there in third.
Yeah, honestly, I think he's in a great spot right now.
Whoa, Ekridge all out of shape. He's sideways out of turn 2.
And you see Ekridge go to the bottom side, Ward along the top.
He had to collect himself there for a second. And he did.
Yeah, and he's lost so much momentum. There goes Ward around him. Thomas George trying to do the same. He does.
Wow. Yeah, I think he'll need to come to pit road to get 4 tires and a set of underwear. But Ekridge falls to 4th. And just a little bobble that just kept magnifying, and he couldn't get it under control. And here comes Gale Brooks now putting pressure on. And there's Casey Shue in the 52 running in 6th right now. Then Don Runkle and Cody Tabor. Or excuse me, that's Brennan Minto behind. And Minto will take that spot away. Tabor all over McQuistion's rear bumper off into 3, and John Rodden to his inside. Battles all over the field, and Bresci has got to be frustrated watching those leaders battle a couple seconds up the road, knowing that he had the car to be up there fighting, but with that damage he's got, it looks like it's severely hurt the performance on that 24.
Yeah, he's been slowly able to move his way up through the traffic, though, and it's currently in 8th, trying to chase down 7th Brandon Minto, so I think definitely that car is at a decent state, potential for a top 5, but as far as the win's concerned, it's kind of yet to be seen. He might have to fix a little bit more damage.
Gale Brooks working the outside of Scott Ekridge now through 1 and 2. And he'll take a run. He's going to look to the inside. Ekridge struggling.
Yeah, struggling after that a little slip-up, has been struggling to get the car back on pace.
Ooh, Brooks drives it in deep, pushes the 70 up the racetrack.
Yeah, and Ekridge is not liking this at all. The more that him and Gale are side by side, the more time they're losing to the leaders.
And now Casey Shue into the mix as well. Where is he going to go? Is he going to choose the outside with Ekridge or the bottom with the 71? Ooh, Brooks drives in deep, clears the 70 and checks him up. And here comes Casey Shue. He'll take a look to the outside in 2.
Yeah, made Ekridge go all the way to the bottom. Shue tried to go around the outside and Ekridge block him up there.
The 6 car of Tim Silliman, 5 laps ago, retired the race car.
Oh, and that's unfortunate. I think that's going to put the nail in the coffin for that. As long as Don Runkle finishes this race.
Yeah, that is a real shame. And I don't think mathematically there is a way for Runkle to miss the next round of the finals. I think he's good to go. Unless Silliman were to get back out on track, but we assume it's an engine issue. Greg Evans is also retired, finishing that 46. I think he was just waiting for the 6 car to bail. And so the 46 and 6, who are both on the chopping block along with the 00, have retired, which means Don Runkle Jr. will live to see another day, and possibly 2 more weeks, with Greg Evans slipping down the points this week.
Yeah, that could have been big there. That one little wreck could have ended up affecting Greg Evans' playoff hopes, so we'll check on that in the coming weeks.
Wow. Big implications with that lap 22 wreck, and unfortunately for Silliman, he's only got himself to blame for that one, and wrapped up Greg Evans there as well, so took out a couple of good race cars, but mistakes happen. Now Casey Shue working over Eckrich. Eckrich just has not been able to recover after that slip-up, and he continues to drop down the order.
Yeah, I think we're seeing here that once Eckrich gets in traffic, he's just not as fast as he is in clean air.
So do you adjust your strategy now? I mean, it's a long race. We still have over 120 laps to go. Do you change it now into more of a fuel and tire saving situation, or do you just try to run out everybody on a restart?
Yeah, I think the best for him. Whoa, that was very violently down below Casey Shue. But yeah, I think best is probably to save your stuff here for the later part of the run, because clearly he's not just going to be able to win it on raw pace.
At least not yet. Oh, contact out of turn 4. They rub fenders, the 52 and 70. And no love lost between these two, that's for sure. And looks like Shue's going to get the spot. Who moves up to 5th? Travis McQuistion and Don Runkle Jr. They trade positions back here. Runkle back to 10th. And all really Runkle has to do is just finish this race with no drama, and he's all good for the next couple weeks. You see him dropping down a couple spots here. And not really a concern him at this point. He's racing nobody around him here. All the guys he's racing are at the front of the field, and frankly, if he just wants to survive the finals, he doesn't really need to be racing them yet. I don't think Scott Eckrich is quite done with Casey Shue.
No, I don't think he is either, and I can imagine Shue doesn't want to give this up. He's yet to actually finish in the top 5 so far this season, currently in 5th, so that's a 52. He's not going to give this up without a really hard fight.
Up for the lead, DeBarro has led the last couple dozen laps, and Jeff Ward trying to chase him back down. Ooh, the 27 actually clipped the turf there. And it's so easy to do because once they made that turf, it's a lot less scary than grass, but you still don't want to get yourself off tracks there.
Yeah, I mean, but honestly, and I have tested this out as you see Eckrich not going to the inside of Casey Shue, gonna run him off the track.
Well, 52 ran him up a couple laps ago, just the favor being repaid here. And these guys are racing very aggressively. But you were saying about what you tested?
Yeah, so I actually tested how, if it was possible to just straight on drive through the trialable grass or AstroTurf now. It actually is a little bit faster because you cut the track.
Well,
you don't lose any time.
I don't recommend that strategy, but
no,
if it comes down to it, I've seen crazier things. Passing the turf. Also, I think it's a good time that we should acknowledge the passing of Niki Lauda the other day, Finney, and that was a real tragic moment for the entire racing community, and a legend not only in Formula One, but in racing as a whole, and I think a lot of people are going to miss Niki Lauda and prayers to his family, and I wasn't really aware of the condition of Niki Lauda until just the other day, but a man bigger than himself for sure, as we see Evan Adams down in pit lane.
Yeah, definitely. It took a lot to took a lot to take him out. He's went through so many things. But yeah, Evan Adams down on pit road. I'm not sure if this is a routine stop for him or if he's just down there.
We take a look at our laps since pit here. It's been 26 laps, so probably a bit short to make a pit stop just yet. But maybe, I mean, we could see people short pitting, maybe just setting themselves up for the end of the race, which I could see as a possibility. Really a two-stopper from here, I would imagine.
Ooh, and up for the front here. Jeff Ford closing in on 27.
Right on board the gyro cam here. You can watch. There's a lot of banking here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, which means you can really lean on the banking and carry a lot of mid-corner speed. And you see we're still well over 150 here, pretty deep into a run. But now he gets kind of stuck in that arrow shadow from the 27 car, and he loses grip in the center. But now that lack of air in front of the 89 is a good thing for the straightaway. He'll draft up, and he's a couple miles an hour quicker by the end.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, really, he doesn't even have to try to honestly pass the 27 because we're everyone's pretty situated unless something is to happen. Shouldn't be seeing a caution anytime soon, and they're pulling away from the 9 of Thomas George. So honestly, if Ward just kind of waits him behind the 27, maybe tries to beat him down onto pit road, he should be able to get the lead doing that.
Well, you mentioned that blue line, and that last time through, I'm not sure if he'll run the same line again, but let's watch the 27 of DeBarro through 1 and 2. I'm curious to see If he's running right against that blue line, because that's what Ward is doing in 3 and 4. Down into 1 and 2. Here we go. And right down to the blue line, both these cars bottom feeding.
Yeah, but you can see they're doing that at slightly different points, enough for Ward's able to get some little air to the nose of that car just to help it rotate. And slowly closing in.
Got a run coming. He slips up out of turn 4, gets awful close to that wall, but so does the 27, but he did carry more speed that time through. Last time by, Anthony DeBarro's lap of 31.913 to Jeff Ward's 31.884, so the 89 is quicker. Here he comes to the inside now.
Yeah, you see DeBarro going defensive on that outside lane. I think it's going to be very hard for Ward to make a pass on the inside at this point in the run.
We've seen a lot of drivers throw it in and drift up the racetrack, and you see the 27 going to the top of the racetrack now to defend. And Ward's going to go down to the bottom, and he does a great job, but he actually completes the pass. I think DeBarro is going to fight this fight later tonight and just lets the 89 on through. His top two continue to battle about 1.5 seconds up in front of Thomas George. And then 1.3 back from George. It's Gale Brooks, and then Scott Eckrich 8 tenths behind him. And the other closest battle on the racetrack right now is Bressie and McQuistion. They're fighting on the back straightaway. Bressie's only worked his way up to 8th after that lap 22 accident.
Yeah, he's kind of stalled out too.
DeBarro to pit road.
Ooh, quick stop already.
Okay, so I think we're just going to 2-stop it from here, Finney, I would imagine. Or actually, it might be a 1-stopper from here. Right? We got to go another 40 or so laps. Get yourself to... Ooh, that's... I don't know what the math is going to be like.
Yeah, I don't either. I'm kind of curious what some of these guys got up their sleeve. But yeah, DeBarro down on pit road. I'm curious who else is going to follow him down.
I think Ward's going to have to respond here. He might just try to do the overcut. And yeah, he might be doing an overcut here. I imagine we have a lot left in the tank, so no need to force yourself to come down early. No one else comes to pit road.
Yeah, I was going to say, so DeBarro going off on his own strategy. Interested in seeing how that's going to play out. Everyone else is going to be on their own different agenda.
Here comes Don Runkle Jr. down to pit lane, though, so there are a couple more drivers thinking about that strategy. Oh, here's Minto, Bressie, and McQuistion all fighting for 6th. That got a little bit tight at turn 2. Whoa, Bressie slips.
Yeah, not the first time the 93 and the 24 have been side by side with each other. Last time they were not too happy with each other, almost adored each other.
Any other takers to pit lane? I don't see any this time through just yet. So just the 00 and the 27. 4 Chevys lead this race, and it's a Ford, 2 more Chevys, then a couple of Toyotas, McQuistion and Rodden. And I think we got one coming to pit road. Nope, they're just a trade for position, 93 and the 24. McQuistion dives off into 3 under the quarter panel of the 24.
Oh, and here comes DeBarro in frame as well. He's holding. He's going about 2 seconds faster than these guys on fresher tires.
Yeah, let's ride on board the 27. Just watch him work his way through these cars. It's just like a whole different class. But he is being slowed down a lot by this. This is going to hurt. Oh, 3 wide to the inside.
Yeah, and he'll be able to make this stick right here on the bottom with those fresher tires, and around he goes.
24 and 25 kind of used up each other's space here. Here comes Jeff Ward down to pit lane from the lead.
Yeah, and definitely, DeBarro's definitely going to have a gap now to the 89, but again, it's all about strategy and where you end up in the end. Or will be faster towards the end of the run than DeBarro.
Bressie and Minto running 5th and 6th at the moment. Working lap 60 of 167 here, about 57 minutes of racing remaining as we watch battle for 5th. Bressie has got that spot away from Minto, and McQuistion coming back into the picture now. Jeff Ward is off of pit lane, so he's received his service, and it was a 15-second stop. And the 27 car is going to drive, he's already driven right around the 89, so that couple lap difference, though, might help the 89 later at the end of this run. No other takers to pit road just yet. I think during this pit stop sequence, I think it'd probably be a good time for a SimTV sound surge. What do you say?
I think it's perfect. Ooh!
Down surge complete, and yeah, we're joking in the chat that was a weird sounding engine. Oh, as Bresty comes on down to the pit lane from, I believe he was running in 4th or 5th. That damage on the right side of that car pretty significant. As we look at leader Thomas George, he stays out another lap. And looks like Scott Eckrich has moved up to 2nd, and there's Jeff Ward. So Eckrich really stretching this run out. So very different strategies happening at the front of the field here, Finian.
Yeah, a lot of different game plans, a lot of different agendas going on. Yeah, I'm not sure if you caught what I was doing about it. Was Jeff Ward almost getting into Bressie.
Oh, yeah. It got exciting there for a second. Oh, I know. So, lots of differing strategies. It's going to be tricky to follow them all, but the top 9 cars have yet to pit on this sequence. We have 100 laps to go next time by. And I'm looking at the 27, Finian. I mean, he pitted really early in that sequence. I'm not exactly sure why you'd want to pit that soon, but maybe he's got something up his sleeve.
Yeah, I imagine he's got to be planning something because, I mean, I would think you want to even this run out as much as possible, but, you know, different people have different preferences on how they like to run their tires and how long they like to go on those tires.
John Rodden down on pit lane now. He is currently scored in 11th. And there's Rinto and McQuistion. These guys have been around each other for a while. And here comes the 44 of Hensley down to pit lane from 16th. He's still 12 laps down after starting the race late. And looks like McQuistion's going to wrestle this spot away from Minto down in turn 1, but Minto's not going to give it up so easy.
Yeah, Minto trying to run that outside. Can't get it done. Looks like McQuistion's going to clear him there for a second. 100
laps to go here at Charlotte. Thomas George leads the race by 9/10 of a second over Scott Eckrich. Top 6 have yet to pit, or I think that's correct. Yes, top 8 still. John Wilco, the last of the drivers that has yet to pit. 8th place for the 62. How about a good run for the 62? He's been in need of this lately. He's had a couple bad runs in a row, and trying to get that number 62 Camaro back inside the top 10 and currently running 8th.
Yeah, I'm sure he's going to enjoy this, although he will be put back on the pit stops, but well, again, it's kind of up in the air, you know, as far as the finishing order is concerned, because everyone's on completely different strategies. There hasn't been a real mass amount of guys pitting at the same time. Everyone's differentiated by about a lap or two.
Always amazed looking at the suspension. I'm watching the right front suspension of John Wilco right now. How stiff it is. Everything's so stiff and compacted and compressed. Not a lot of travel in these springs. It's kind of, this has been one of the more green flag races we've seen on this aerodynamic package. The only race I can remember that went this long was probably the Kansas Outsider Racing League race about a month ago, and they went basically their entire last half of the race completely clean and green. So that's, I'm kind of curious to see how this all pans out. We know these cars don't get quite as good fuel mileage with the higher downforce, though, so you have to keep that in mind.
Yeah, especially with the tapered spacer, they haven't been able to get as good fuel mileage. The engine running constantly at a higher RPM. So yeah, these cars very thirsty. It's definitely changed up the fuel mileage, and you have to hope that you either have a fuel calculator or you're accounting for the more fuel that is consumed.
Thomas George and Scott Eckridge getting closer and closer together, Finian, 0.2 of a second separating these top two. Remember, Eckridge led a bunch of laps early, but ended up kind of slipping down the order after making a slight mistake following the 27 of DeBarro after a pretty entertaining about 10-lap battle earlier in the race. The 27 short pitted a while ago, and he is back in 6th right now. Jeff Ward, who pitted a couple laps after, is in 7th place. And the battle for the lead is on here. Finian. Eckridge is caught. Thomas George dives to the inside.
Yeah, I think there should be no contest here. Eckridge has been catching him at a very significant rate. They seem to go right on by. I'm curious if the 9's gonna decide to go down on pit road.
Yeah, I remember back here a year ago, it was Thomas George and Nick Cohan that were fighting for the lead, and they ended up crashing with 11 laps to go off into turn number 1. So the 9, I'm sure he remembers that vividly, and he wants to win this one. So he's got to beat a couple great race cars and race drivers to do it, but he slips to 2nd here on lap 73.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to stay out too, maybe I guess follow in behind Scott Eckridge for a bit before making a pit stop.
The sun getting lower in the sky here as we continue the race here. Let's take a look at our track conditions. The track temperature's dropped almost 10 degrees. It's 108 now. Air temp has dropped 1 degree, so still a bit toasty out here, Finian. But with this downforce package, the weather doesn't seem to really play that big of a factor because you're not quite so on edge with these cars.
Yeah, it really only matters when when the track really starts to cool off, and if we do have enough time to get into the night, which I don't think we might, considering the pace of the race going so far, then that's really where we're going to see a big change in how these guys are racing.
Stephen Herring in the 64. Pretty sure he was a late entry to the series, Finian, in that Dairy Queen Camaro, but having a solid run tonight. No, not breaking any records with the speed, but out on the racetrack and not a scratch on that car, so getting the job done all the way back in 13th place behind John Rodden and in front of John Wilco, who we mentioned earlier was having a decent night after the pit stop, a lap down in 14th. Evan Adams still on the racetrack in that 59. Scraped the right side early in the going, but continued. And Tyler Hensley, we mentioned he started late. He's still on track, just out here going for a joyride, I suppose.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the amount of laps that these guys spent on these tires. They're currently on 52 with the top 5 guys that have stayed out. I'm kind of surprised they haven't decided to make a trip down on pit road because I'm assuming they're going to have to make at least one more stop.
Well, yeah, they will. That's.
I feel like they've kind of overshot it a little bit. And again, there's nothing wrong with doing the overcut, but I feel like you might want to kind of play it out a little bit more even.
I guess we'll see. How long they can run on fuel, but the longest. They're out as long as we've seen at this racetrack, 53 laps. So if they can go 80, then that's one thing, but I don't think they can go that far. You see Eckridge gets booted up out of the way. There's Thomas Bresci trying to make up for lost time there after his involvement in the collision earlier. So everything's kind of calmed down for the time being. Everyone just kind of biding their time right now, Finian, and strategizing for the end of the race. It's not often we get to see this kind of strategy in this event.
Yeah. This is the first time we've seen such weird strategies. It would just work with everyone, again, almost everyone.
Finian, incident, the 59 on the back straightaway. He got into the fence. He's going to continue, but that was almost an accident. But you were saying? Sorry, cut you off.
Yeah, no, I said this earlier, but everyone's just on completely different agendas. And whoa, 59 really tight, almost gets to the wall there.
There's another look at it.
Yeah, he's really struggling with that car.
Wow, that was quite the ride he had off of turn 2. Did a good job hanging on to it. But continues. 15th place, 2 laps down. And then right behind, you see, that's the 27 of DeBarro. Oh, Cody Tabor, he's down on pit lane for his stop. But I mentioned DeBarro, he's working his way by some lap traffic and trying to distance himself from Jeff Ward, who's hunting him down from behind. Remember, Ward pitted a couple laps after the 27.
Yeah, and he was able to cut up the gap with over 6 seconds at one point, so Ward able to chase that 27 back down.
Nearing the halfway point of this race, it'll be lap number 84. And Ward, you can hear the tires working hard on that 89. He's pushing at the moment, trying to get up to that 27. And this strategy only works out if he's in front of the 27 by the next time they come to pit road. Otherwise, it'll have been a loss.
Yeah, so Ward, so DeBarro getting passed by guys that came in later on their tires. So they have newer tires, so they get around DeBarro, and now here comes Ward in the background here. He should have fresher tires in the 27, so advantage goes to him.
And just in front of them, you see Stephen Herring and John Wilco. This is a battle for position for 12th place. Oh, yeah, here comes Scott Eckrich from the lead. And so he went basically 58 laps. So you can't make it to the end from here. I guess they're just going to split the final couple runs up into shorter sections. But I wonder about the other guys that had pitted earlier, DeBarro and Ward. How are they doing? I think they can also make it one stop from here to the end. So I think this... Yeah, I don't know why you wouldn't have pit earlier, Finian.
My only thing is, unless maybe some of these guys trying to stay out here for the halfway points potentially, because that's coming up in 2 laps.
Yeah,
once,
I suppose.
Thomas George crosses lap 84.
I suppose, but you see Gail Brooks pulling off the racetrack now, as does Brennan Minto. But I don't know. I mean, either way, it was going to be a 2-stop race, but if you pitted a long time ago, you're going to be...
Oh, George, the engine shut off.
Interesting. Oh, trying to make it to the end without running out of fuel.
Yeah, so here he's lap 84. He needs to complete it if he wants those nice 10 points for first.
Well, he's got a 12-second lead. He's got plenty of time to burn here. Battle for second to DeBarro and Ward. 1 lap to go here until the halfway points are awarded. Thomas George has a 12-second lead. He can just afford to coast to the end, but he's got to be able to get around to the pace car and back to pit road. And the battle for second, hot on the back straightaway. DeBarro and Ward fighting for the second, and this could matter at the end of the season here, Finian. Every point matters, and off nose to tail into turn 3. Ward's going to turn down the racetrack, try to get a run back to the start-finish line. Thomas George will get there, collect the halfway points, side by side for second place. Who's going to get it? DeBarro does by an inch.
Yeah, that was really close there for second place.
Sure was. And they're not done fighting just yet. And Ward's going to...
Thomas George.
Thomas George, excuse me. He's got to come to pit road right now.
Yep, here he comes.
That's going to leave the 27 and 89 to be fighting for the lead. And they have to make one more pit stop, but so does everybody else. So I have to wonder, they put the 70 really far back. The 70 is almost 3/4 of a lap down. He's all the way back in 7th place. So I just don't know what strategy these guys are playing, but I imagine it'll probably all play out for him as we continue to watch that battle for the top spot.
Judging by how long Eckrich stayed out, I think he just figured he'd come down pit road. I think he was running out of fuel, and he was trying to stay out for some points as well. So that didn't work out for him, but he's currently back in 6th place as he passes Thomas George up pit road. And George will drop back to, seems like, 11th. As he comes back out on the track.
DeBarro and Ward continue to fight. So when do they make their final stop? We saw about, 54, 55 lap run? So they got to come in around lap 1... I mean, I'd probably say 110 to 120. That's probably when they're going to come.
Yeah, I would think that's probably a good number. Probably around lap 110.
And that is, let's take a look right now. 31 laps. They're going to be running out this tank of fuel too, so that was kind of a gamble how close they were running it before. And DeBarro goes to the top of the racetrack. It's interesting to see him kind of run up there and not to pass. He's just up there defensively driving, but making up good time.
Yeah, these guys have a huge lead. Again, granted, they're one of the first guys coming down on pit road. They have a huge lead over 3rd place Casey Shoes all the way back. 12 seconds in 3rd.
Yeah, these guys are playing out the strategy nicely. Brooks in the fence right in front of them. Dale Brooks, that strategy has really hurt his performance. He's all the way down in 13th, about to go a lap down. You see Thomas George just up the road from these two.
Yeah, I mean, Thomas George, he's going to be able to rocket away from everyone else. Just came down on pit road, so he's going to jump quite a few spots. We'll be curious to see on how his endeavors play out.
Ward tucked in behind DeBarro, and he's going to drop to the inside lane to try to carry this run. He's got a great run through 3 and 4. but it's not going to be enough to clear the 27. They're going to be door to door as they come out of 4. And Ward will lead this lap. I think DeBarro might lay over and give it to him. No, he's going to keep rolling that outside lane.
He's going to keep it strong there, but Ward's going to just chuck it in there. He's cleared him mid-corner, and there he is coming up to clear him.
Well, we've seen this fight before. We've seen this fight before with Scott Eckrich, and DeBarro learned a couple things. He's going to apply it right back to the 89, back to the inside, and these guys are only racing each other. Everyone else 12 seconds or more behind.
Yeah, the funny thing is that they're still running faster than the guys behind them. So they can kind of afford to battle each other out here for quite a bit, considering their massive lead.
And the 89 clears DeBarro and heads back up to the front. I think Ward's got 2 victories so far this season, if I recall correctly.
I'll double check that, but it seems about right.
It's 1 or 2. I know he won at Motegi, I believe. I'm not positive where the other racetrack was.
No, only one win.
Only one, okay. Brooks and Herring just traded spots, or actually that's Wilco, excuse me, that just traded spots. About 40 minutes to the end of this one, so we're not necessarily getting close to the end, but we have started to see how these strategies are going to play out. Thomas George rocketing around the racetrack right now. He's on the freshest tires of anyone, but 24 seconds back from the leaders. How about Casey Shue running in 4th? We haven't talked about him a whole lot tonight, but having a solid run. And in terms of the pit stop sequence, he is 28 laps in, so he's even a little bit better off than Ward and DeBarro are, but he is 12.5 back from those top 2.
And actually just fell back to 4th place as Scott Eckrich passed him, and Eckrich is running at a good pace. He's running 31, around the 31 second mark. Ward and DeBarro running around 31.7 to 31.9.
Well, those top 2 only have to go another 15 laps, but Eckrich is catching them at just under a second a lap. So Eckrich will get up to these top 2, presumably by their pit stop. So they have to keep an eye on that 70 because he is quicker than them, raw pace. Even before the pit stop sequence kind of shook this all up. So they have to keep an eye on that 70 because that's who they're trying to beat. Godrod and Brandon Minto fighting for 9th.
Yeah, these guys fighting. Again, it's kind of hard to gauge who's battling who. Because some guys are completely fresh tires, some guys are on completely worn tires. And everyone's just kind of finding themselves out in the order. So, Minto gonna around Rodden.
Looks like Evan Adams has retired his race car. He's 6 laps down on pit lane. Cody Tabor, the only driver still currently 1 lap down. Not a scratch on that car. Finian just hasn't quite had the pace to keep up with the field after this whole pit stop sequence started.
Yeah, and we'll see if he can try to pull some strategy to get himself a few more spots. But yeah, not a good day for the 15.
Don Ronco Jr. loses a spot to Brandon Minto. And again, we have to talk about Don Ronco Jr. because remember back to California at the beginning of the season, we were only a couple races in, and Don Ronco Jr. stayed out on a late caution and stole a victory at the end of the race and launched himself straight into the Fuel Finals fight. Everyone said, like, we love Don Ronco, but he does not have the pace of everyone else around him in the Fuel Finals, but this is what keeping yourself out of trouble gets you. He's still in the finals, and he'll still be there for a couple more weeks with the way the points are going to shake out tonight.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, again, all he has to do is just play the format right, and he's been doing exactly that.
Straight! And damage for the 0-0.
And the SimTV curse comes back.
Well, the good thing is that that car is still plenty drivable, and honestly, the cars that he was fighting in the finals are already out of the race. So he doesn't have to worry about a whole lot, but just a scary moment there. Thomas George and Travis McQuistion trading positions. But let's go back to the 0-0. I mean, you talk about playing the format, Finian, but there's a couple ways to play the format. And if you look at Casey Lakatos over on the Outsider Racing League side, every time there's a caution, he stays out, loses track position on the sequence, but he stays out just to lead a lap to get a point. And because points matter so much, it helps him out. But what Runkel's doing is doing pretty much the exact opposite, just staying out of the front, just staying way towards the back, keeping himself out of trouble. And look where he is. He's running in 6th in the point standings, and it's paying off.
Yeah, I was going to say, he should be ahead of Greg Evans going into next week. Not by much, but still something. So should have something happen to Greg Evans next week, Runkel will be there to advance to get another round.
He continues to ride in 11th right now. Casey Shue and Thomas Bressie. Bressie's found some pace back in that race car, I think. Last time by was a 10th quicker than Casey Shue. And after that early collision, that car just hasn't been the same, but trying to wrestle it back inside the top 5.
Yeah, again, it was what I expected after that crash is that he's going to have pretty decent pace, just not enough to compete for the win here. Definitely looking at a top 5 as he's going to be with his teammate right now, 52 of Casey Shue.
Working lap number 99. About a half an hour of racing remaining. This is kind of this is a long one here, Finney. This is an endurance race. This is the longest race of the season.
Still got, by the estimate, still got a half an hour of racing left.
Yeah, it's we still have a long way to go, and a lot of things can happen in 67 laps around here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. All right, I think it's about another time for a final SimTV sound surge here for tonight's event. Here we go. Jeff Ward continues to lead Anthony DeBarro here by 0.6 of a second, but battle for 5th place is on. Thomas George has gone around both these cars, but Casey Shue and Bressie, the teammates, fighting for that top 5 spot.
Yeah, and they've kind of stalled out in their fight. I thought Bressie would have just booked it around Casey Shue, but they've kind of sat in behind each other and just kind of riding around. Actually, Thomas George has driven past him, and he's up into 4th.
Yeah, Thomas George is lapping very quickly because he pitted so late that his tires were just so much better that he was able to make up a lot of that time. But working lap 105 here, Finney, and that's 62 laps to the end of the race. So now we're getting close to that window where these top couple drivers can make it to the end. So we have to go another 10 laps to make it to that window. So about lap 116 to 125 is when I expect to see these guys come.
Yeah, I think they might want to come in. They might be coming in just a little bit more earlier than that because Ward and especially DeBarro are running relatively close to the limits of their tank by that point. So it's kind of interesting here. They could potentially be on the back foot as far as fuel is concerned because they came in so early for that first pit stop.
Yeah, we know that we can go to at least 54 laps on a tank. So that means for Ward, that's another 7 laps, which would get him to lap 114. That's 53 to the end, so that's cutting it awful close. I mean, I cannot imagine that they did all that math in their head, but they must have, because that's about as tight as you're going to get it just by accident.
And even DeBarro's in a worse situation, because currently he has 51 laps on his tank.
Yeah, DeBarro might be in trouble. I think Jeff Ward's probably okay.
Yeah, so I imagine we're probably going to see DeBarro really stretch that tank out, and we'll truly get a glimpse of how long it takes to go on it.
Shue and Bressie, I think they're just working together here, Finney, maybe saving the 24 from fuel or something, or tires, because I don't know. I mean, I think Bressie knows that he's got to go another 7 seconds to get Thomas George, who just blew by him on fresher tires anyway. There's really nothing the 24 can go get right now, so you might as well just ride around and hang out. Speaking of Scott Eckrich, though, who's just up the road from these guys, he is about 3.7 seconds behind DeBarro and Ward, and now his pace has slowed, but he's still lapping 2 to 5 tenths of a second quicker than the leaders, and he should get there in the next couple laps, but I think they're going to pit before he gets there.
Yeah, they're probably gonna do exactly that again. I just think that the time that Eckrich pit, I feel like overall by the end of the race he's gonna lose time to the leaders. Again, we kind of have to just see it all play out, but he also has to make a pit stop as well.
Bressie got around Casey Shoes to move the 24 up to 5th. I'm just waiting and watching for these guys to come down. So it's 57 to go, so they're within 3 to 5 laps of their beginning of their window. And I'm curious to see, I mean, the 27 has to come before the 89. Just curious to see how long the 89 is going to hang out. The 27, he's got to come the next lap or two. I mean, he's almost out of fuel. If he can go another 2 laps, he should be good.
Yeah, I think he's going to try to do his best to get to that number. Yeah, I haven't heard him shutting off the car yet, so I don't think he's in a completely dire situation.
No, I'm watching on board right now, and I don't hear him saving anything. So the farthest we've seen is 55 laps, and that's what he is at right now. He might be able to stretch another lap or 2 out of it. All right, this will be 56 laps, so that's the farthest we've seen anybody go. And so, in theory, Finian, he's good to the end from here on out. 56. He's all set.
Yeah, let's see if he decides to come in now or if he decides to stay out another lap or 2.
Well, I think he's going to have to come in whether he wants to or not. And here he comes. Yep. 27 down to pit lane. And a nice entry down to 45 miles an hour. He'll come in to receive his service. So he's good to the end on fuel, and it was just barely enough. Jeff Ward leads this race 3.8 seconds up the road in front of Eckrich. Eckrich is now slowed to the pace of Jeff Ward, so this has really worked out in Jeff Ward's favor, all this strategy. So now, it's just going to be right at the end.
He's going to stay out. I wonder if he's going to stay out longer, too, to overcut the 27, because that worked out last time as well. So
I think he's going to. I mean, this final run will be pretty much exactly the length of the previous run. They're going to stretch it all the way to the end of the tank. So if he just comes as soon as his tank is out, he should be able to catch the 27 before the race is out. Now, the question is, can we bank on being green to the end? I think we can, but we've seen crazier things happen. I'm sure we could probably see a self-spin or a single-car spin, and that would throw all the strategy out the window.
Yeah, that's all it really takes, especially as guys get on older tires. It just takes one mistake, one slip-up.
Oh, Casey Shoe just got really sideways in 1 and 2. So we were talking about slip-ups. Bobbling that race car around, but he held on to it. So DeBarro on and off of pit lane and back up to speed. Don Runkle Jr. down on pit lane as well as Cody Tabor. So Jeff Ward is going to be coming. Here he comes this time through. He's good to the end on fuel. He's got to run 52 laps to the end. He ran 55 on that stop, so he's all set. Now, what's Scott Eckrich's plan here?
Yeah, he again came in at a very awkward time. He might have to cut this run short. I don't think he should run it all the way to the end.
Yeah, I think he should come now. I think he's quicker than the cars that were in front of him, but he's got to be on equal stuff. And if he lets them use those fresh tires to their advantage, I don't know if he's gonna have enough time to chase them back down.
Yeah, I would say maybe continue on for another 5 to 10 laps, then come on down. Or actually, not 10 laps, probably just 5 laps, continue on out, and then come down, get fresher tires, and chase those guys back down.
DeBarro's pit stop was a bit slow, Finian. It was 15.6, which wasn't exactly a great stop, but so was Jeff Ward's.
I was going to say, he ran the exact same time. In fact, their pit lane deltas are only separated by 1/10 of a second to advantage of Jeff Ward. So fairly close for both of them.
Yeah, so you see there's the gap there between what was our leaders. That's a fairly large gap, Finian, 4.7 seconds. DeBarro made up a lot of time in and out of the access roads, and it was only a couple laps, so DeBarro might have just waltzed right into this one.
Yeah, well, granted, the gap before on the last run was about 6 seconds.
Oh, was
so
it?
we have seen Ward. Yeah, it was like six plus seconds, and Ward was able to chase him back down. Granted, I don't know if that was because DeBarro got caught in traffic or not, so we'll have to keep an eye on this. I definitely think Ward has the pace to do it, though.
We're going to have to keep a very close eye. DeBarro working around Scott Eckridge, who continues to lead this race. And we're getting down to the nitty-gritty. We're about 26 minutes left in this event. We're working lap 118 of 167. We've had one caution tonight for 4 laps, 10 lead changes. It's been a very competitive race and lots of strategy going on. There's John Wilco inside the top 10, Stephen Herring as well. But DeBarro right behind, and you see Jeff Ward coming out of turn 2 right now. Last time through, a 30.037 to DeBarro's 30.037. They tied last time, Finian.
Yeah, it's actually very impressive of the fact that they tied on lap times.
But the 89's got to run quicker, and he's got to start pretty soon. That time through a 31.91 to a 29.892. And now it's just corrected to a 29.909. So 0.2 quicker. That's significant. He's got to keep it up, though.
And what my eyes are on, though, is that 70th Scott Eckridge. When is he going to decide to peel off?
So he's been on the racetrack for 38 laps now. So I think he's
47 to go.
I almost think he's committed to doing what he was doing before. I think he's already given up all that time on the fresh tires from the 27 and the 89. They've already eaten in so much to that advantage that they had, that if Scott Eckridge pits now or he pits later, he's going to be screwed the same way either way. So I think he's made his bed, and now he's going to have to lay in it. I think if I were Eckridge, I was only 3 seconds back, I would have come right with them and just hoped I could run him down on raw pace, because I don't think waiting and letting them drive away is going to help, because honestly, there's not going to be enough laps left in this race for that overcut to work. Cody Tabor in the 14th spot, 2 laps down. There's Brennan Minto going on by. Minto currently scored in 4th. So let's see if anybody else is destined to come to pit road anytime soon. Travis McQuistion from 3rd. He's only got about actually, John Rodden has to come this time through.
Yeah, he's getting really close.
Travis McQuistion, probably next 3 or 4 laps, he'll be down as well.
Yeah, pretty much just waiting on the top 6 to pit. Everyone else behind has made their stops.
Yeah, and Wilco and Herring are on pit lane right now. There goes the 24 of Thomas Bresci. He's made his final stop of the night. He gets on through the 93. Gap between DeBarro and Ward is now down to 4 seconds. Wow, DeBarro was really slow last time. He was half a second off of Jeff Ward's pace. You were right, Finian. I mean, that 89 is flying. He is on a rail right now. And look at him rolling that bottom lane. He's got that left front tire hooked against that blue line. You can see that 27 up the road. And, yeah, that 27 is going to be in trouble here.
Yeah, again, we did see Ward stall out when he got to the 27, though. It took a few laps to pass him, but again, he had quite a few laps to work around him, and he should have quite a few laps to work around him on this run as well. So,
Travis McQuistion,
looking more and more in the 89's favor.
Travis McQuistion and John Rodden both on pit lane from 7th and 8th place. So the top 5 is Eckridge, George, Minto, Brooks, DeBarro. DeBarro, the only one who's made his final stop tonight. And there's passing Brooks right there in the Taco Town Ford Fusion. And is waiting for Jeff Ward to close that gap even more.
Yeah, Minto down on pit road, so now waiting only on Eckridge, George, and Brooks to make their final stops.
What is going on with that 27 finish? Last time through it was a 30.9 second lap, still a half a second slower. It was only a 2 or 3 lap pit window difference, Vinny, and I'm not sure why the 27's so far off the pace, but he's struggling with that race car.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is. I think just kind of finding a lack of pace at this point in time. Both could be just the track conditions not playing out to the 27's favor.
And speaking of track conditions, let's take a look. The track temp has fallen 10 degrees from the beginning of the night, and the shadows have gotten longer. The sun has gone lower towards the horizon, and that has changed the track conditions a little bit, and that might be what's helping the 89. He's only gotten stronger as the night's worn on here. And Ward getting by Gale Brooks. That'll put Ward inside the top 5. 2.1 seconds up to DeBarro. Eckrich out in front by 8 seconds, but he's got to come to pit road. He's been out there for 45 laps. He can only go 10 more, but I think it's far past the overcut possibility at this point. We're getting down to only 40 laps to go. That's really not enough time to make up a huge deficit he's going to have.
Yeah, and that, did the math. But if he pits now, he's going to be 20 seconds behind DeBarro. So that's what they're looking at right now.
Yeah, I mean, unless you try to do a fuel only, but you'd have to take a pretty big tank of fuel and would make that, pretty much moot. So.
Yeah, and even that, you're going to be losing so much time off the tires, too, so if you don't take them. So.
I'm just surprised. I would have thought that he would have come down with the leaders when they came, because then the deficit would only be 3 seconds.
So he's going to be coming on down.
So less than 40 to go, 20 minutes left in this race. Jeff Ward 1.7 back from DeBarro, and that's the battle that we're watching is the 3rd and 4th place cars. Excuse me, it'll now be, it will be the 2nd and 3rd place cars now as they pass Thomas George in the pits. That's really the battle for the lead as Eckrich has to come to pit road.
Yeah, I think pretty much Eckrich is out of it at this point. I think he'll probably finish 3rd or 4th, depending on where George ends up in all this, but yeah, effectively between the 27 and the 89. And that 89's closing.
And he's closing fast. He's got 1 win on the season, but we've talked about Ward in the past, Finn, and he's been so close a lot more times than the one race he won.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, even if you look at it, you probably have to beat out the Charlotte Roval from that stat, but I had it pulled up. Give me 1 second. Yeah, so ever since he won a Motegi, he finished 4th at Iowa, 2nd at Rockingham. So he's just been on a really good string of races. Again, minus the Charlotte Roval. But yeah, here, even if he finishes 2nd, which is what, if anything, he's going to end up in, it'll be a very solid car.
And Anthony DeBarro just almost ran into the back of Thomas George, who was getting up to speed, and now George is on fresh tires. He'll drive off into the sunset, but that has reeled in Jeff Ward to that 27. It's now a 1.3 second gap between those two. Although the timing and scoring is telling a very different story, a very incorrect story. It's telling me that Jeff Ward is 51 seconds behind. That is clearly not the case.
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh, it's fixing itself now. There it goes.
There we go.
Was it doing that for you too?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't understand that, but like we got Fox Sports timing, I think.
Yeah, I'm with the backup and it was doing the exact same thing. So I have no clue what iRacing thought for a second there.
Well, Ward getting around some lap traffic. Actually, they're getting around Tim. They're on fresh tires. That's McQuistion and Minto, and I think Ward's just going to pull over, let them go. Cody Tabor and John Rodden. This is a battle for position for 10th at the moment. And short-lived, Rodden will get that spot. Tabor pushes up the racetrack high in 3 and 4. Handling gone away on that car for him. DeBarro leads 1.1 seconds out in front. 34 to go at the line. I think this is Ward's race to lose, Finn. He's got such good pace. He's played out the strategy nicely, but DeBarro still has an opportunity to try to defend. They're on pretty equal tires, only a couple laps separating them.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, it's very close between them, and they've got 30 laps to sort this out, so they got a long way to go here with only a second between them.
And no one else near them that has the opportunity to catch them. Scott Eckrich, 18 seconds back. That's not going to be enough. I mean, he might get close, but he's not going to be able to catch the leaders.
Yeah, he'll definitely pass Gale Brooks, who is still actually out there. He's the only car remaining to make their final stop.
And maybe just hoping for a yellow at this point, but I don't think that's going to happen. McQuistion and Minto, they're fighting for 8th. Sorry to cut you off there.
Yeah, they're duking it out. One of the closest battles on the track. Everyone else kind of spread out.
Minto dives back to the inside of the 93, heading off into turn 3. And I think McQuistion's going to have the run on the outside. 25 pushes up the racetrack. And lots of room being given there. They're still continuing to fight at a turn 4. Minto has it at the line. But the pass is not yet complete.
Yeah, they're still side by side with each other, just trying to sort it out. Fighting for 8th place.
And I'm keeping an eye on that front margin. It's now 0.7 of a second. We'll take you there in a moment. And Minto's going to slip on the bottom. McQuistion pushes up the racetrack in 4. And they come out of turn 4, still side by side.
Yeah, as far as probably getting tired or calling out the other driver for 3 laps now.
Minto drives it in deep that time. He's going to have to slip up the racetrack. And I think McQuistion's going to let him have it now. Let's jump back to... Oh, hello, right behind him. Anthony DeBarro and Jeff Ward, they're chasing them down. 0.8 of a second is the gap. Gale Brooks hits pit lane.
Yeah, it seems like the gap's actually expanded out just a little bit.
It was at the lowest of 0.7. I think Ward slipped up a bit. This time by at the line, lap times for the 27, a 31.484, a 31.501 for the 27, a 31.527 for Ward. So he did lose a bit on that lap, but right back to the bottom, he's going to gain some more time.
Yeah, he's actually got Tyler Hensley in behind him, who's on fresher tires, so he's going to zip around him.
Hensley's going to go the long way around, it looks like. .30 to go, last time through, so now make it 29 as DeBarro leads by 0.7 of a second. And that time through, it looks like, it was about similar lap times, 31.501 to 31.527 is what I have recorded.
Yeah, small advantage to Ward. I mean, really, that's all he needs. He just needs to start packing in just a little bit. Once he starts getting to that draft and really gets up behind that 27, to where he's going to be able to work with him.
And just eating in a little by little. He's not taking massive chunks out, but that's kind of what we expected after it takes that long into the run to get. So Scott Eckridge 10 seconds back. He's closing in about a second a lap, but again, with he's got time to get there, but that progress, of course, slows the farther we get into the run.
Yeah, it's probably going to get with about 4 to 5 seconds to these guys before the check flag comes out. So it'll just be a little bit short.
44 of Hensley, rim riding that thing. He spent the entire race double-digit laps down. He's now 21 laps down, but sticking it out for the points. Ward within a half second now at the line, 27 to go. And now he's in the draft.
Yeah, I was just about to say, now he's really starting to feel it.
And also the arrow push, you have to keep that in mind as well. But it seems like DeBarro has gone defensive by going to the high side of the racetrack, which is helping out Ward because he can go to the bottom and get fresh air on the nose of that car.
Yeah, indeed. And I mean, also, Ward had a trial run the first run around getting around DeBarro, so he's had experience working around that 27, but he's got to do it again, and now when it counts.
0.4 of a second now between the top two. In a couple laps, we're going to see that lap counter tick over from telling you the total laps to 20 to go. And that's how we know we're getting down to the end of it. 13 minutes left in this race as we cross the line and finish lap number 142. At 0.3 of a second is the gap.
Oh yeah, he's really sucking in right now. 0.2 of a second.
Scott Eckridge, though, 7.2 back, so he's taking another big chunk out of this lead. But again, we expect it to, his advantage is beginning to falter a little bit with those tires wearing out. But these guys can't really screw around too much. They have a big lead, but not that big that they can just mess around without paying attention to the 70. Anthony DeBarro might up until a few laps ago, you might have thought he had this one in the bag, Finney, and that 89 had kind of stalled out about a second back, but now Ward is reeling him back in, and now the heartbeat picks up in the cockpit of that 27.
Yeah, once he caught the draft, it's almost going to be game over for that 27 again. Still has to work around him. I imagine DeBarro's going to make it one of the hardest passes he had to make all race.
I'm looking in the background, in the way back of that shot, I see that blue number 70, 6.3 back. And we thought he'd stall out around 5 seconds, and honestly, Finian, his lap times have dropped off very quickly the last few times. He's only a half second quicker now. It's still a lot quicker, but he was up 1.2 quicker about 5 laps ago, so that he's hit that cliff and dropped right off it.
Yeah, we're now on the inside of lap traffic, getting around McQuistion. He was just going 1 lap down. Only 7 cars on the lead lap.
Stephen Herring on pit lane for his final stop of the night. 0.2 of a second separating the top two. Ward is there. He just needs a good run at it to take an opportunity to pass that 27 car. Coming up on 21 to go at the line.
Yeah, I was about to say, he's got about 20 laps to do so.
There's Scott Eckrich, 5.6 back. What do you do if you're DeBarro, Finian? Do you run the inside and take the 89's line away, or do you run the outside and just try to defend that outside line from the 89?
Honestly, it's kind of tough call to make because you can just do the opposite of what you're doing. I would say try to take that inside lane if you can, but once he gets alongside, just run that outside lane and pinch that 89 down. And actually, here comes Ward with a big run.
Yeah, Ward's got a great head of steam here. He's going to go to the outside of the 27. We haven't seen him make a pass out here. I think he's been on the bottom most of the night. 27 slips up in front of him at a turn 4. Crossover. Here comes Jeff Ward to the inside. Battle for the lead. 20 to go.
Yeah, let's see if Ward's able to send it here. Will the 27 be able to hold off on the outside lane? There you see him pinching.
Door to door through 1 and 2. Side by side for the lead. These two have duked it out earlier in the night, but they have 20 laps left. There's a blue car lurking in the mirror behind them, 5.2 back, but Eckrich has dropped off the tire cliff. Does he have enough time to get up to these two? They're battling right now. They're slowing each other down. Ward slips. He does not have the grip on that bottom lane.
Yeah, he's going to have to find something to work with there. DeBarro's going to win that encounter. 20 laps to go. 19 to go.
Yeah, make it 19 as they work through 1 and 2. 4.3 seconds back to the 70 as these top two fight.
Ooh, I see a puff of smoke. Not sure who caused it.
I see McQuistion, I think, is in trouble.
Oh, it was McQuistion.
And let's go back and see what happened to the 93. Looks like he's been there for a little bit of time. Oh, wow. I'm amazed this didn't throw out a caution. This was right behind the leaders as they were fighting. He spun out of turn 2, got into the fence all the way down in the apron, and that'll be the end of the night for the 93.
Oh. Speaking of the leaders, Ward building up a big run here on the back straightaway.
Here he comes. 3.9 back now to Scott Eckrich. He is coming, Finian. Now, Eckrich is just... He's managed to keep this momentum going towards the front of the field. He might have enough to get even closer than the 3 or 4 seconds we thought he was going to get to. 17 to go.
Yeah, I was going to say that really, though, it depends, I think, if these guys keep slowing each other down. He is starting to taper off just a little bit.
Leaders, 1, 2, and Scott Eckrich, 3. There's the gap. Ward is kind of stuck. He is quicker, but now he's got to pick a line, and it can't be the line where the 27 is with all that air coming off the spoiler. It's very difficult to make a pass. You have to plan it and take a different line.
Yeah, he's been trying to look to that outside lane to make a pass, which I honestly think is good, but he has to time on when he goes to the outside.
Now look at the 27 defending that middle groove now. Then they're going to both chase the yellow, or excuse me, the blue line on the bottom. You see the 89 push a little bit because of that arrow wash. 3.4 back to Scott Eckrich. Coming to 15 to go. 27 looks high, the 89 looks low. But you have to be not just a little bit quicker, you have to be a lot quicker to get by the leader. I guarantee you, Scott Eckrich is just waiting behind for these two to just keep doing what they're doing. He can see them, he can smell the blood in the water, and he can taste another victory that would get him to 9 this season. It's just up the road with 14 to go at the line.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a tall order. I think if anyone could do it, it would be Eckrich. He's still lurking and closing in as these guys are trying to duke it out.
Wow, the 89 all over the bumper of the 27 for the lead.
Yeah, you see him trying to go to the outside. There he goes, back down to the inside in turn 1.
He's got alongside him now, but can he complete the pass down here? So difficult this late in the run to make that move. Side by side out of turn 2. He's going to have to side draft a little bit to get a run and keep that 27. He might have to get a bit aggressive here, Finian. I don't know if he's going to be able to do it on raw pace. He might have to push and shove him maybe just kind of take some liberty moving him up the racetrack.
Oh, here he is. He gassed up at a perfect time. He's going to try to get a run on the outside of the corner. Navarro going to close the door.
He's going to have another run to the inside here. Will he take it? He will. Back down to the inside. 13 laps to go. 89-27, fighting for the lead. He had to back out of the throttle. Was going to get into the quarter panel, so he's going to have to set him back up again. Eckrich is lurking. 2.7 back now. I think the 89's going to have to pick up his pace here and kind of get rid of this 27.
He's starting to run out of some options here. You see that 27 just trying to be in front of him, make him feel that aero wash.
Now, what do you think about the 89 trying the outside lane here? I think, can he force the 27 down and just kind of sneak in the outside? Is that the place to be?
I think honestly that's his best hope. There's no way he can try to pass him on the inside.
He's trying to build up a run in 3 and 4. He's got a good run, but he's not close enough to make it work. He's going to take a look to the inside again. He's just continuing to try this. Here he goes to the outside. 89 looks to the outside. The 27 throws the block down into turn 1. Oh, he might have snookered him right there.
Yeah, and Ward's going to try to build up a run here.
Yeah, the 27 moved up the racetrack to block that move, and then the 89 faked him into abandoning his line mid-corner. And here comes Jeff Ward back to the inside now in 3 and 4. Fully alongside. He's going to have to use him up a little bit. Side by side, he stays right on the bottom. And Scott Eckrich closing from behind. 2.3 back, coming to 10 to go. Didn't get it done.
Yeah, 10 laps to go, and these guys are actually starting to catch a good amount of lap traffic. There's about 4 lap cars up the road.
I think Ward has the plan. I don't think he's going to deviate from it. He's just trying to make the 27 move up the racetrack far enough where he can complete the Hail Mary. He looked to the outside in turn 1 and then faked him over. And it didn't look like he seriously wanted that line, but maybe he should try it, Finian. I think the outside's where he can make a pass easily. I think he's just got to get the 27 to fake left and then steal that outside.
Yeah, and I think Navarro knows that, and he's defending that outside lane because I think that's his only option left. Now you see Ward try to go to the outside in turn 1, but there was no gap.
No, I think he's doing that on purpose. I think he's faking the 27 over to make him block that line and move up at a bad time in the corner, and then he exposes the inside line, but I just don't know if he's going to get a big enough run doing that to make this work. Scott Eckrich is closing Finian, 1.7 back. They got to get this over with. Here he goes. He backs out. Looks high. He's going to try to pull down and gas up early in the corner. I just don't know if he has the tire to be doing that strategy, Finian.
Yeah, I don't think he does. And more importantly, there's a giant blue 70 car in his rearview mirror that's getting ever so close now.
Scott Eckrich, we thought he would stall out, and he did, but these front two have slowed each other down so much that it's really made that kind of moot. 7 to go. It's about a tenth of a second between DeBarro and Ward, and then 1.6 back to Eckrich, make it 1.5 as they get to the line. And Ward's got to do something quick if he wants to win this race. And how about DeBarro? He's done a great job driving defensively. Oh, Ward in the fence! And he's going to lose control on the back straightaway. And he's going to slide across the racetrack. And nope, not quite. He's going to spin out. 7 to go. No caution yet.
Oh, wow.
Caution. Well, that changes everything. And Ward's not out of this, Finian. He's only scored 3rd.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy, indeed.
What do you do? Oh, man. Well, actually, honestly, looking at the amount of cars left, I think, oh, this is I don't need to be a crew chief right now, I'll tell you that much.
Well, 7 drivers on the lead lap. Everyone's coming to pit road.
We have 7 drivers on the lead lap. We're only going to have 2 laps to go, but again, ooh, is it worth it enough? I honestly think that it is.
You gotta come. You gotta come to pit road. If you stay out, you're gonna get run over on the restart.
Let's see, who dares? Does anyone dare to stay out? Let's see.
DeBarro comes. Eckrich comes. The question, he's a lap down. I think all the lead lap cars are gonna come. Bressy's in, and others. Well, that threw everything that we knew, or thought we knew about this race out the window. We've only had one caution up until this point, way back at lap number 22. It was lap 162 when we had our second and presumably final caution of the night.
Yeah, we had a really good, so it was almost a 140-lap green flag run.
Eckrich wins the race off pit road, Finian.
Oh, boy.
With a 4-tire stop, a great stop. He was a second quicker than DeBarro. But now, we saw Eckrich at the beginning of the race. Remember, he started the race and did not finish lap 1 in the lead.
Oh, I was going to say, I almost kind of puts him as a sitting duck, because these guys are going to get a fantastic, especially with the fresh tires too, they're going to get a fantastic run just behind the 70. And they're just going to be able to easily chuck it in, because it's pretty much a pack race at this point towards the end. We're not going to have enough flaps or tire where it's going to anywhere matter.
All right, well, I'm going to restart my ticker software to get a nice, fresh, non-laggy version for the end of this race. So stay with us. We will be back for the restart. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back live to SimTV. 4 laps remaining here in I don't know what to say, the 5th to last race of the season, I suppose. But Scott Eckrich did not dominate this race. He's won 8 races prior to tonight's event. And it was really the 27 and the 89 that dominated the night. But 89 spun down in turn number 3 after getting into the wall, chasing Anthony DeBarro. They came to pit road. Everyone got 4 tires and fuel. And that left Scott Eckrich in control of this race. DeBarro in second, Thomas George in third. I would say that I would expect someone other than Scott Eckrich to win, but I don't think the 9 is stronger than the 70, and I'm just not sure. We're going to have a 2-lap shootout here, Finian. Who do you think you got?
Honestly, I think that 27. I think he's shown that he's got more pace than that 70 car. And the 70, again, last time he started on starting in from first, ended up losing the lead by the back straightaway. But we'll see what he learned here. And again, if these guys can just build up a good enough run, they should be able to shoot around them. But yeah, with the drafts in play, these guys are just going to be all over each other's bumpers. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if we get a caution.
Well, we got 1 lap to get a caution. If the caution doesn't come out before the white flag, if the white flag comes out before the caution does, then there will be no caution. iRacing logic there. So coming back to the restart, we're going to have 12 cars on the lead lap. It's going to be Scott Eckrich, DeBarro, Thomas George, Thomas Bresci, and then it's going to be Brandon Minto rounding out your top 5. Any one of these drivers could win this race. We're not guaranteed a green flag run to the end here, but what I can guarantee is that it's going to be crazy. We've run 165 laps leading up to this moment here. And Eckrich did not dominate this race, but he might be able to steal another victory this season and further pad his points lead heading into the final 4 races of the season. Out of turn 4. 2 laps to go. 3 miles for the 70 as Scott Eckrich to get his 9th win of the season. Pace car's off. Green flag back in the air. DeBarro launches well, but the 70 as Scott Eckrich gets himself clear, and now it's a 2-lap run to the end.
Yeah, all DeBarro needs to do is just try to set up that pass coming out of turn 2. There you
Here
see
he
him
comes.
going to the outside.
And he's got to get this done quick in case there's an accident behind him. He's going to have a big run on the back straightaway. Here he comes, the 27 of DeBarro with a big run down the back straightaway. Looks to the outside off into turn 3. The 70 chases him over.
Oh, that's opened the door. Thomas George looked like he was going to throw something in. He's
No, contact!
He's going to get some contact with the 27.
He almost spins, but he saves it to the line. White flag in the air. Ekrich, DeBarro side by side. DeBarro leads that lap. 1.5 miles to go. They're side by side down in turn 1. 27, 70, door to door through 1 and 2.
And DeBarro's going to be leaning on trying to get that run on off of 2.
Down the back straightaway for the final time. 2 by 2. The front 2, the next 2 side by side into 3 and 4. It's Ekrich. It's DeBarro. Ekrich spins out of turn 4. Ekrich crashes. The field gets collected. The 25 crashes. The 27 to DeBarro crosses the line and wins at Charlotte. And Ekrich backs across the line. Finian, the margin between second and third, 65 thousandths of a second.
Yeah, that was close there.
DeBarro wins. Wow.
And how about Bresci getting second place?
How about that?
And Casey Shu also, I see some congratulatory bumps from his teammate. He finished in 3rd.
Wow. And Brennan Minto in 4th.
Yeah, entire top 4. Great. Well, 2nd through 4th. Great job by those guys just coming back when it counted at the end.
We will go back and watch it, don't worry, but we want to watch DeBarro do his burnouts. Victorious this season, Finian, but I think this is his 2nd victory on the season. And at a very opportune time in the Fuel Finals, and he's going to burn it down.
Yep, indeed. This is win number 2 for DeBarro.
And he earned that one.
Yeah, and fun fact, he's the only driver other than Scott Ekrich to win multiple races this season so far.
There's a stat for you. And Ekrich finishes the race in 10th. All right, let's take a look at your race results. We mentioned that gap between second and third, Finian, that was mighty close. We'll go back and look at it in a second. Thomas George ends up in 5th. Jeff Ford rebounds from that accident for 6th. Gail Brooks, John Wilco, and a couple others getting some solid top 10s there. Don Runkle Jr. at 12th place, and that's just, he keeps doing what he needs to do to keep himself in the finals.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much said it right there. That's exactly what he needed to do just to get him some nice points.
And I think with the accident between Tim Silliman and Greg Evans, that will eliminate Tim Silliman from the Fuel Finals for 2019. An unfortunate accident on the backstretch, and Greg Evans is really going to be in a bad spot next week, especially with John Runkle Jr. finishing in 12th and getting a pretty decent points net out of all that. But let's go back and take a look at that finish there. Really, the last lap and a half would be good to look at. That was some wild racing for sure, Finian. I don't know if I've seen anything like that in a long time. So let's go back and take a look here. So let me. Have to do it the old-fashioned way. Patience will be required for this, as clicking on lap 167 is going to take the replay quite some time to figure out. There we go. Okay, so this is coming back to the white flag here. Here's a look. 27 and 70, and DeBarro, I think he had the upper hand being on the outside lane here, but Ekrich did a great job trying to roll that center. And they get door to door on the back straight. And then really it's just a drag race from here on out.
Yeah, pretty much so.
And then we get down to turn 3. You see the 70 go to the bottom of the racetrack, but doesn't quite get turned in. They just kind of go for the same spot on the racetrack, and the 70 runs out of room, chases it up the hill, gets sideways, and then they watch this battle for second. Wow. As the 70 gets collected behind. Minto managed to hang on. Thomas George, Jeff Ward come across the line, bumping and banging. But this is that last lap again. Thomas George almost crashed, too, behind these guys.
Yeah, I know. A lot of people almost crashed at the end there. Only was 70 taking a very hard lick, I might add, to that outside wall.
Now, I want to watch from on board. I think it was Casey Shu in the 52, either him or Bressie. I want to watch from this perspective. This is just two guys going for the same spot on the racetrack. Finney, there's more room to the outside of the 27, more room to the inside of the 70, but they get together, and it was all just a wild ride from there for the 70 car.
Yeah, I would say you can't really place any blame there. Just really hard racing coming to the checker there.
All right, let's take another look at your results, but what a wild race. I mean, there was a lot of strategy in that one. Probably one of the greenest NASCAR stock car races we've seen on SimTV ever. 2 cautions and 167 laps. I don't think we've seen a flag-to-flag green race on this channel of that length at all. So 2 cautions is certainly pretty dang good. But again, Scott Eckrich, 10th is going to be a disappointing result for him tonight. But I think the real disappointment is in the Tim Silliman camp, that 6 car finishing 20th, 100 plus laps down after crash damage to that machine. Okay, I think we should go to break and go grab a couple of those people and talk to them. What do you think?
I think it's a perfect thing. I'm sure these guys are going to have a lot of things to say. Nothing really negative, but I think just commenting on that fantastic finish there.
All right, we'll be right back. Stay with us to hear the interviews. Welcome back live to SimTV here now with Scott Eckrich driving the number 70 Camaro. Scott didn't dominate the race tonight, but got put in a position to win at the end, side by side for the entire white flag lap, and then contact in 3 and 4. What happened there at the end, and what was your perspective like for those last 50 or so laps?
Yeah, I guess I got behind on myself. I just had no short run speed tonight. Took me way too many laps to get going, so that one's on me. That last lap, I got ran into. But to be fair, I've done the same thing to him and had the same result and opposite, so I guess I can't complain about that too much. And we'll just move forward and look forward to Homestead here.
What was the decision for the strategy earlier in the race? Coming up to the last pit stop, those front two, Ward and DeBarro, pitted. You were about 3 seconds back. Did you think at all that you might have pitted with them, or did you just know that you're going to try to overcut them the whole time?
I had planned on making my shortest run at the very end. I felt like that gave me the best chance of getting up there and fighting with them for the finish, because I knew just, raw speed, I was already too far behind from my very awful start to the race. So I knew that was the only way I was going to get, even within eyesight of them again. So just a gamble to hope it would work.
All right, Scott. Well, a 10th place result tonight. Not what you were looking for, but still a good race and a good showing regardless. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. Next, we'll talk to Jeff Ward, who finished the race in 6th place, but that doesn't represent where he was running most of the night. Jeff, an unfortunate incident on the back straightaway for you in the closing laps there, but just walk us through that battle with DeBarro and then that last restart.
Yeah, that was a battle most of the night there with DeBarro. We were kind of not on the same pit cycle, so he would get out to 5 or 6 second lead, and I'd have to reel him in. And then by the time I got there, a lot of times our tires were kind of equal. But it was hard to pass. I got to the bottom or to the inside of him several times and was a little faster and just couldn't seal the deal. We needed to get to his outside, and he was defending that pretty well. So it's just hard to pass. I could have roughed him up, I guess, but me and DeBarro's had our run-ins a couple times this year, kind of trying to keep things clean, I guess, for now. But looking back, maybe I should have gave him a bump or something.
When you were working him over those last couple laps, you kept trying the bottom of the racetrack. Did you try to get to the top? We saw you a couple times down in turn number 1, kind of fake him out to the right. But was that to get him off his line, or was that to take a look to the outside?
Well, I was trying to get a run on him, then I'd fake to the bottom, then hope that I could get a fender on him on the outside. But he didn't even have no desire to block the bottom, because he knew that if he stayed high, I couldn't get around him. So it was just tough. Like I said, the thing I really could have done is maybe drove in and hit him in the rear there or something like that. But and then I took a chance of taking both of us out and running our playoff hopes of advancing. So it played out okay. I'll take a 6th place. We got some good halfway points, and we'll keep plugging at it.
All right. Well, it's going to be a 6th place for Jeff Ward tonight, but could have been a victory. We'll see you next week, Jeff.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right, now we'll talk to 3rd place driver Casey Shu, who came home 3rd in the number 52 car. Casey, awful close there with your teammate at the end, but a great battle all around. But that last caution really puts you in a great spot to get yourself inside the top 5. Are you happy with 3rd?
Well, after the way my stuff is going for other leagues in this league, I'll take a third. A third's a win to me at this point. So, yeah, I'm really excited about that one. I told Thomas if the bar would have put it in the fence, I'd have put him in the fence to win it. So
we saw you earlier in the race. Were you working together with Thomas Bressi the midway through, or was that just all out battling, just kind of trading spots a little bit nicer than everybody else?
I think we were just being a little bit nicer. We were both so even that it didn't really. I told myself I'd let him by if he got to me, but it was just so even between us that we just decided it'd probably be better just to stay in line. We can get some sort of a draft going.
All right. Well, 3rd place for the 52. A great result there. Thanks for talking to us, and hopefully we'll see you again next week.
Thank you. Hopefully.
Now we'll talk to the 24 of Thomas Bressi, who stole a 2nd place at the very last minute. Thomas, I know you probably could have had the speed to win this thing had that first accident not happened. But just talk to us about that first wreck on lap 22, and then the rest of the race, the strategy, and then how you end up in 2nd at the end.
Yeah, as for whatever happened at the beginning, you're asking the wrong person. You have to ask the guy who ran me in the fence at Rockingham and ran the 5 in the fence at Motegi. So I can't really help you with that one. Fortunately, I got out of that with minimal damage. Was able to get that repaired. I was thinking, there'll be another caution. And then we went green for 130, 140 some laps or whatever it was. So I like long green flag races. They can be a little boring, but just seeing how the strategy and stuff plays out is a lot of fun. And got to give a shout out to my teammate Casey, because he actually for once did not get caught up in somebody else's mess and wrecked before lap 10. So congrats to him on the 3rd place finish. But I don't know if I would have quite had the car to win. I was hoping I think maybe had I been on the bottom for that last restart, I probably could have. Honestly, I felt like I really would have had a good shot at it, but I'm certainly quite happy with a second place finish after the last couple weeks. So certainly, certainly a good way to end the night. Compared to how it looked on like lap 25 or whatever it was.
As we took a look at the point standings prior to the race, you were sitting second in the points. Scott Eckrich was leading. He has a pretty healthy lead, but you're going to dig into that lead a little bit. Do you think that you have the pace this next couple weeks, the next 4 races, to be a championship contender?
So what do we have next? We got like Martinsville, I think, coming up. ISM. I know Homestead, and I think do you know what the other one is?
Oh, there's Talladega coming up. Oh boy.
That's right. We have that in there. So, in that case, yeah, I'm stoked. I got a lot of I'm hyped. I love Martinsville. Casey, Tyler, and I work super well at the plate tracks, and I mean, if we can, I mean, we know how to shake and bake at Talladega, so I think we'll be good there. ISM's been pretty good to me recently, and Homestead's not too bad either. So yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I think so. I mean, if we can get to that last race, I think we got a good shot at it. I also shout out to my teammate Tyler. I know he didn't have a great race. He had some technical issues at the start, but he had a fast car tonight. Was doing a good job hanging in there. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. If we can just stay there until that last race, we're gonna have a shot at it. Don't worry.
All right, Thomas Pressey, second place tonight. Teammate Casey Shue in third. Great result for those teammates. Thomas, thanks for chatting. We'll see you next week.
All right, see you guys.
And now we'll talk to winner Anthony DeBarro. He worked for it so hard tonight and had to fight off Scott Eckrich and Jeff Ward in the closing laps. Anthony, on the trailing end of the restart there, we're starting on the outside lane. You managed to roll that outside, battled side by side for a couple laps, and then contact in 3 and 4. What was going through your mind there, and how did you get yourself in victory lane?
Contact. I didn't feel a thing there, but I gave him plenty of room going in there 3. I was above the seam. If you watch the replay, my plan was I knew I needed to be on his door coming off 4 to get that slingshot to the start finish line. That's what I was gearing up for. So we go into 3, and then I look in my mirror and he's sideways. So I didn't even get a contact, nothing for that. So I don't know what happened, if he got loose or what the deal was. It didn't look to me like we touched. So.
I have to ask, because I was so curious. When you and Jeff Ward were playing that pit stop strategy, about midway through the race, you came down, and I think it was about lap 650 or 60. Did you guys do that math in your head? Because you guys planned it out so that it was exactly 55 lap runs to the end from there. Was that intentional, or was that just a little bit of luck there?
No, I actually thought we were going to get a caution. I split the run after we got that first caution. I split that to the halfway in half. So I was trying to have the fresh tires and get ahead and see if I get 10 to the maximum points on the halfway there. And I came off pit road, and I was like, I did almost a face palm because I didn't think I was going to have enough fuel to make it on one stop. And luckily I was 1 to 2 laps to the good there if we would have went green.
In terms of the championship picture, honestly, you got in here by the finals by the skin of your teeth after that penalty, but you've actually been running quite well since the finals have started, and you're kind of working your way up the point standings as others are dropping. How far up the point standings do you feel like you can climb these next 4 weeks?
It looks like I'm right there with third place. So I mean, that's the goal is top 4. I mean, Tega's a new wild card. I mean, it could be a good race, or it could be a shit show. So we'll see what happens there. I mean, I just want to say this. I don't think we could have put a better race on tonight with this package. I applaud Will for jacking the temperature up at the racetrack, because that made for a heck of a race. I mean, I think Jeff was a little faster with a little fresher tires, but I was just taking his air away, kind of like the Indy car, and he was getting tight, and then eventually he got tight and got in the wall. I hate that caution came out there, because I got to talk to Nick, the team owner. We had a very slow pit stop. We had a 15-second pit stop. I don't know where we're getting these cut rate pick rates from.
Well, I think everyone's getting them from the same supplier, so I think they all need to get looked at. But tomorrow, great run for you tonight. Victory, again, your second one of the season. Congratulations, and good luck next week, and hopefully you can go 2 for 2 next week.
Thank you. We'll see what we can do.
All right, have a good night. Winner Anthony DeBarro Finian. Thoughts on this race? It was probably one of the better races we've seen. Very long, and the middle was all full of strategy, but some exciting action there at the end.
Yeah, honestly, that was a very good race. Very clean for most of it. We had a long green flag run and just a lot of strategy being thrown at the wall. And overall battle for for first that lasted almost 130 laps. So yeah, it was very entertaining. And then that last 2-lap shootout was off the wall. So yeah, just a great race overall for these guys.
We want to thank everybody for sticking around. This was the longest race of the Fuel HostVenom Cup Series season. But tomorrow night we race for 20 minutes and then 25 minutes tomorrow night, or actually 20 and 30 for the Spec MX5 Sim Racing Challenge from Laguna Seca. That'll be at 8:20 p.m. on the Winding Road Magazine channel. So if you're not subscribed to them, you should be. We're going to be live there tomorrow night to 580,000 subscribers. Looking forward to being there again with them. Then Thursday, Scars Ferrari Challenge returns. And then Friday, Virtual Racing League action from Talladega Superspeedway. That's what's coming up the next couple days. Thanks for watching, and have a great night.